Hello and welcome to another video from Midas Touch Toys, Games and Collectibles. And today we are looking at something that is now very rare indeed. We are looking at the 2012 release by Biff Bang Pow from their series of TV tie-in Mego style action figures. And this particular figure we're looking at today is from the 1970s hit television series, which was entitled The $6 Million Man. And the series is all based on the novel Cyborg, which basically featured Colonel Steve Austin, who was a former astronaut, and he was test flying a aircraft for NASA, and he had an accident and landed the vehicle, and he was almost dead, but due to the advancement in technology, he was able to be rebuilt with bionic implants, which was his two legs, his right arm and his eye, which gave him superhuman strength. And then he went on to work for the government agent, which was called the OSI, the Office of Scientific Investigation, which was headed by Oscar Goldman. Okay, that's just a brief synopsis of the actual series. And this particular figure we are looking at today is of none other than Colonel Steve Austin himself, and he is dressed in his casual khaki attire. Okay, so this is the figure in front of us, and this is the card it comes on. On the very top, it's got ages 14 plus. It's got a 50 licensed product. It says Biff Bang Pow, or you've got the Biff Bang Pow logo, I should say, and then you've got the $6 Million Man logo as it used to appear on his shirt. And just below that, you've got the $6 Million Man running in his tracksuit just after his or during his testing of his bionics. And at the bottom, he's got warning check and has a small parts not suitable for under 3 years old. And the figure itself is of Colonel Steve Austin. Okay, so that is the front of the card. Now, before we have a good look at the figure, let's turn the card around and let's have a look at what we got printed on the back. Okay, so I've turned the card around and this is what we got on the back of the card. And again, it says officially licensed product. And it says the $6 Million Man. And it says, gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to build the world's first bionic man. Steve Austin will be that man. Better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster. And that's the immortal words spoken by Oscar Goldman during the opening titles scenes of the $6 Million Man. And then you can see again an artwork image of the $6 Million Man with the heartbeat running across the screen just here. And at the bottom it says $6 Million Man's trademark, copyright of Universal Studios, licensed by NBC Universal Television Consumer Products Group, 2012, all rights reserved, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and it says collect them all. So all the figures in the series. So you had Colonel Steve Austin in tracksuit, Bigfoot, which was from a couple of episodes of the $6 Million. Actually, he was in, I think, about 6. I think there was 3 visits of Bigfoot. And one of them tied in with the Bionic Woman. Oscar Goldman, who was the head of the OSI, and he was also in the Bionic Woman. Fembots, again, that was a villain of androids, and they were also had a crossover between the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. Colonel Steve Austin in casual attire, which is what this one is, and Dr. Rudy Wells, who was the brains behind the Bionics. You've got NBC Universal Television Consumer Products, and you've got all the logos at the bottom there. So it's not suitable for under 3. It's the CE mark, the EMCA Acme Toys logo, biffbangpow.com logo, and you've got the barcode there. It says $6 Million Man, Steve Austin in khakis, 8-inch action figure, and it's part number 15054. Okay, so that is the back of the card, I should say. Let's turn the card back round to the front and have a good look at Steve Austin himself. Okay, so I've zoomed right in on the facial features of the figure, and I've also got the image of Steve Austin on the left-hand side, as portrayed by Lee Majors in the television series. So, I mean, the facial features are not bad, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think it's exactly like Steve Austin or Lee Majors as he was when he played the part of Colonel Steve Austin. Yeah, I don't think it's quite right. I mean, obviously the hair's probably spot on. The eyebrows are. Yeah, the eyes probably are. It's the nose and the mouth that are probably not quite right. So it doesn't really look that much like him. I mean, they've had a good go at it, but yeah, it's not really, the sculpting of that facial features is just not really correct on this particular figure, which is a shame really, because the rest of it is all pretty good. So yeah, a little bit disappointing there, but let's have the look at the rest of him. So he's dressed in his khaki shirt, which is open there, and you can see his chest hair, which has been drawn on. I'm sorry I giggle, but it does look quite amusing. So if you can just see that there, they've drawn on or printed on his chest hair, which is a little bit odd. I mean, he back in the day, in the 70s, when this television show was on, it was quite fashionable to have a hairy chest. And Steve Austin used to run around with his shirt open, showing off his hairy chest. So that's basically what they've done. They've added some hair to his chest, but it's not real hair. It is just like printed onto his chest. Okay, and he's in his khaki casual attire, which is tucked there into his trousers, which is pretty much how they used to wear their clothes back in the 70s. Everything was always tucked in. And you had the belts with the big buckles, which is what he's wearing there. And you also had those open sleeves at the bottom, which is what he's got on his, where his wrist is. You can see how the sleeves are open there. And then his trousers and all the way down to his black shoes. Okay, so that is the figure as he appears. Now, it's 8 inches tall, according to the information on it, and let's check it. So 8 inches, we're looking at 20 centimeters, which is exactly 8 inches, so it's exactly the right size as specified. Width wise, yeah, we're about 8 centimeters across, which is at the widest point, and depth wise, we're about 3 centimeters from back to front. So that is the figure. Now, because obviously he's sealed in the packet, I can't actually remove him from the packet. Now, I don't have a loose Steve Austin figure to show you the articulation, but I do have my trusted Klingon from Star Trek. Now, this is an original 1970s Klingon Mego figure, but the articulation is pretty much the same. These figures are all based on these ones. As you can see, they're all similar sizes, but the articulation is all the same. So you've got the rotating head, as you can see. You've got the arms which go up and down, as you can see, and you've got the elbow joints which go up and down, and you've also got the same kind of hands, although you can see the joints on there. It's pretty much the same as these ones, although these ones are more modern than the 70s one we've got here. But the hands rotate just like they are on the Klingon here, and that's the same on both sides. And then you've got, of course, you've got the waist which turns round, and the legs which are again on string and ball joints, so they can move them around into pretty much any position. And of course you've got the knee joint, as you can see there. And the Steve Austin figure is exactly the same articulation as we've seen there on the Klingon. Now, yeah, I mean, these were, I think, something that we probably did need when these were released in 2012. Biff Bang Pow did a run of classic television figures, and a $6 Million Man back in the 1970s was probably one of the biggest television shows out there. It ran from 1973 to 1978. There was, I think, 102 episodes plus 6 TV movies, which was made. And I think each episode was about 55 minutes, or maybe 50 minutes, if you take out the adverts, the time cut for the adverts. But it was a hugely popular series for the, for the most part. I think the ratings for the last season took pretty much a nosedive. I think one of them, I can't remember if it's $6 Million Man or the Bionic Woman, but one of them moved networks. So the last seasons, there was no more tie-ins between the two television series. But to be perfectly honest, they were both cancelled around about the same time in 1978. So $6 Million Man ran for 5 seasons, and I think the Bionic Woman ran for 3. And the Bionic Woman obviously was a spin-off of the $6 Million Man. So it was a hugely popular series for the first 3 or 4 seasons. I say that by the time the 5th season came in, the ratings had declined somewhat. So like with all these long-running television series, action series, you do tend to have a peak and a good run, and then it kind of like gets to be the same thing over and over again. And that's what it was with $6 Million Man, which is why I think the ratings plummeted in the last season. And a lot of people that have watched it have grown up as well. So in 5 years, the TV series ran for. So a lot of people grew up and moved on with their life, and they didn't watch it anymore. So it's probably the main reason why the television show ratings dropped. So these were the first figures to be released since the 1970s Kenner figures, which were the 12-inch $6 Million Man action figures. So these ones really needed to fill a gap. So we were talking from 1976 or 75, I think it was, when the Kenner figure was released, the Kenner merchandise, and they did release several versions of the $6 Million Man and quite a lot of play sets and so on. So we were talking really, what are we talking there? We're talking 40 odd years ago, sorry, in between the release of the two series of figures. So yeah, it was probably needed at the time. There was a $6 Million Man has a cult following. There was a lot. Well, there wasn't a lot of these produced. They were all produced in limited quantities and for a limited time, and they did sell out extremely quickly. And they were obviously needed at the time. The collectors wanted them, and they did do all that range that I showed you on the back of the card. There was also 2 others that was produced in a second wave, which was Barney Miller, the $7 Million Man, and Steve Austin in spacesuit. But there's this first batch was 6 action figures, as was shown on the back of the card. So yes, they sold very well. They sold out very, very quickly, and very, very quickly became highly collectible and very sought after. And now we're talking, it's only 12 years since these were released and came out, but we are talking these items have now become incredibly collectible and very, very, very sought after. So they verging on price wise somewhere similar to the 1970s figures now, because of the rarity, the limited edition, the collectability of these figures, especially in this mint seal condition. Okay, do they come up on platforms? Well, not very often, to be perfectly honest. I don't know about the US, but I'm talking about the UK here. They haven't appeared on the platforms in a very, very long time. And I presume that's because whoever bought them has got them, and they don't want to part with them because they are very collectible. I think they do appear from time to time on the American platforms. I have seen some over there. But again, they are demanding big money for these figures. So no, they don't pop up very often on platforms. If they do, I'd suggest snap them up, because they are so few and far between when they do pop up. Or alternatively, we at Midas Touch have managed to find quite a few of these figures. We bought stock from a closed down comic and toy shop, which didn't recover after the COVID years, and they decided to close down. We bought out all their shelf stock and their backroom stock, and the $6 Million Man figures. There was a whole selection of them amongst the stock which we bought. So we do have quite a few of these figures currently available to purchase on the Midas Touch website, which you can get to quite simply by clicking the link below. It will take you straight to the website, where you'll be able to find this and many other $6 Million Man items, and many other vintage toys, games and collectibles. Come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody, and I am absolutely positive that this is something you won't want to miss, because we literally have thousands and thousands of new products which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there's something in particular you're looking for, something old that you've never been able to find, something quirky that you might want to buy for a friend, or perhaps just something from your childhood that you'd like to own again to help you recuperate those long lost childhood memories, well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know, the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on the review of this particular action figure. I do hope you've enjoyed this very short video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.